Hey y'all, it's Melissa here at Twin Oaks Family Farm, and thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel, Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. We always appreciate your time and effort to watch our videos, love to get your feedback and comments, and genuinely try to reply to all of them that we feel are directed at us. And love also to see, we see a lot of threads on the different videos where there'll be several people maybe join in a single thread, and it's kind of that cool sense of community where, you know, there's feedback and people are sharing their experiences and getting ideas from each other, and that can be independent of me having to be a part of that. And so I really think that's so cool that y'all kind of have this ownership in this community and you're willing to share with each other. And we learn from the feedback in the comments as well, over and over and over again. So we just want to thank you. But we're going to take a look at the meat bird production flock that we have going right now. And I kind of, I don't know, kind of caused like a hiccup in things. This is March 27th, 2024. The birds we're going to look at, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hopefully he'll stay there. I don't think he's going to. Oh, no, I missed it. Tanner, the Dachshund, was up on the crates. Hey, Tanner. Tanner, look here. You going to say hi to us? Get up there. We can't see you. There you are. There's Tanner. So anyway, the birds we're going to look at are 17 days old, and they are Cornish cross meat chickens that are in production for poultry. So let's go ahead and look at them. Tanner's done with us. So anyway, but I was saying I kind of caused a hiccup in things, I think, because yesterday the day started out real good, and as the day went on I just didn't feel real good, and it was more a situation of I needed to eat better than I did, so it was kind of my own fault. But by the time I had time to record some video on these birds, I didn't feel like doing it and being up. So I took some time, you know, to feel better and to eat well. And by evening then, you know, after about kind of a 6-hour time frame, I was feeling a lot better. But since I didn't have updated footage on these birds, I had some old footage from when they were 12 days old that I went back into and did some trimming on and editing on, and actually uploaded that on the day that these birds were 16 days old. And we're so grateful and fortunate that folks and viewers will follow along with our flocks. And so it really is a cool platform with YouTube that we can do that. We can follow a flock pretty much in real time from start to finish. And then not only was it followed in real time start to finish and accessible for other people to see, like then, you know, it stays documented there in the videos that we've uploaded. So I'm trying to show there, we have different ones. They're dust bathing. Hi, Tanner. Hello again. I don't know if y'all can see him, the light's too strong, but they're dust bathing. So these meat chickens, they grow so rapidly. They're different than egg production chickens in that regard, but they do so many of the normal chicken behaviors, and that's part of raising them, is we want to provide the opportunity for them to do the normal chicken behaviors that keep them well and content. So, but it's funny to see them dust bathing, and that is something that's nice about the pine shaving bedding that we use for them. You know, it's really absorbent for absorbing the moisture from their manure that contains their urine as well, and it seems to help a lot with odor. We don't get a strong odor in our chicken barn here. But it's also, when we take good care of it, like we do, it also stays loose, and they can fluff it and dust bathe in it. And that is a very important behavior for chickens. So at any rate, but I did kind of cause a hiccup because, you know, we were rolling right along, doing video of these birds day by day. And then one day they were 15 days old, and the next day on YouTube they were 12 days old, essentially. But that was just footage from several days ago that we hadn't used, and we trimmed it a bit, and it helped me out a little bit in a pinch. And so now we're kind of back on track here. But these are 17 days old now, and so I know it's hard to see kind of the whole pen and deal with the strong light. But there's Tanner again. I just think he's so stinking cute. He's not quite a year old yet, probably 9. Hi Tanner, probably 9 months old, but he really is a good dog about hanging out with us outside. He's actually our middle son's dog, and our middle son still lives at home, so Tanner lives here. So, but I was kind of apologizing about like the lighting in the pen, but that's part of what I wanted to show you. With that, we've got the west side doors open, and it's late in the day, so the sun's over there, and so that's where the birds went. So if you can kind of take in overall, I'm standing in a back corner of the pen, so I would be in the most the most southeast corner of the pen, looking at them, and you can see where are the birds at. The birds are basically where the sunlight is. And so what is the sunlight accomplishing for the birds? The sunlight is accomplishing two things. It is accomplishing light, which birds see best in well-lit areas, but it's also accomplishing warmth. And we're basically at the reference point with these birds where they pretty much want to be at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperature around them, even 85. So when the sun is streaming in, that has some warmth to it that can actually beat out the heat lamps. But they are also curious, so they'll go wherever activity is in their pen. We will be closing up, definitely going to be closing up this east door. We don't have sunlight coming in from that side. Going to be closing up this south door. There's really not strong light coming in there, but we still have strong light coming in there, so we're going to leave that west side open. They hear the dogs, we'll probably get some reaction because we've got Gus out there, Gus the teddy bear's out there with Tanner, and they can hear me but not see me, so we're getting some barking. So okay, so a couple other things going on in here I want to tell y'all about. I had predicted in a previous video, I think when they were 12 days old, that we would have them out of these baby tray feeders and baby waters and into big waters and big feeders between day 14 and day 16, and we really didn't do that. We, with the size of this group being relatively small for us, there's 100, actually now on day 17, there's 123 of them, but with the size of this group being relatively small for us, and we have lots of supplies, we were able to put in 10 of these tray feeders, and we still only have 6 of the waters in, but we're doing good on that. But we do fill those waters about 3 times a day, so they're drinking about 18 gallons of water a day at 17 days old. But these tray feeders now we are filling them like 4 times a day almost, and that's not saying they're totally emptied when I fill them, but they're eating them down, eating through them, and I'm having to fill them about 4 times a day. So more so than the size of the tray is the rate of their food consumption, and when they're starting to eat through them so fast that we can't really keep them filled, that's when we need to put them into bigger feeders. And so we did, so like I said, we talked about between day 14 and day 16 and didn't do that. I would say this is the longest we've ever kept a flock in the baby feeders and baby waters, but I did go ahead and bring in a big feeder today. And so this is a practice that you can do even with very small groups of meat birds when you're going to change. And you can do it with egg production birds too. When you're going to change a feeder type, like say from this to this, leave an old one in there and bring a new one in there too, and give them the opportunity to try that one out and get used to it. And that gives you, the flock manager, the opportunity to see, do they fit it yet? Is this going to work for them now? And it gives them the opportunity to understand, feed used to be in this, now it's going to be in this. And so the only Negative thing I see happening here is, see a bird laying down. We don't want that. So we would put risers underneath the base of that to get that tray lifted up to the height of the bird's back. And that's how we would want to feed them. But we will now start putting in the bigger feeders like this and taking out these feeders. So we'll want multiples of these feeders in. What we want is so that if all the birds want to eat at the very same time, there's enough space at feeders to accommodate all or most of the flock simultaneously. So we have to make sure that we put enough feeders in to do that. So we will, over the next couple days, do that. We'll add more of these feeders. We'll kind of watch them. We'll kind of gauge how many birds are fitting around that at the size they're at now. And we'll bring in enough feeders that they all have access to food. And as we bring those in, we'll take out these, like corresponding to how many birds fit at these compared to how many birds fit at those, okay? And probably we will also start maybe around day 20, start swapping out the waters. We want to put bigger waters in here. These only hold 1 gallon. We'll put in 5-gallon waters because ours have lids on top and they're easier to fill than these. These are more time consuming for the flock manager to deal with. When they're, and we're getting close, but when they're consuming like 20 gallon a day, that's when we want to go into the big waters. So we'll probably put, and we want the birds, along with that, we want the birds drinking the water up in like 24-hour period because we want water to be fresh for them all the time. So we want to be refilling that every day, So we'll probably, when we get to that point, we'll take out the baby waters and we'll put in the big bird waters. And I haven't quite figured out the configuration of where we're going to place everything. We'll get to that, but most likely, since we're going to deal with the heat lamps where they are, and the sunlight kind of travels, from here to there as the day goes on. So we're working around that pattern all the time. We'll probably put feeders right down the center of those 2 rows of heat lamps, and then we'll probably put a couple waters on one side and a couple waters on the other, unless we could do waters at that end and at this end. So we're just going to have to kind of see when we get these bigger supplies in here, these bigger accessories in here, how things fit and work the best. So, but we aren't going to want them laying down, so we will have to address that. But they can reach in that tray, and so if we get a riser under there and evaluate, can they still reach in the tray? Then if the answer is yes, then we're going to go with that. Couple things also want to tell you that we're watching, see how these birds are really filling out now, and see how like this one's laying. Something that can be a risk at this point in the process is we have a higher likelihood of that bird accidentally rolling onto its back. And when meat chickens, and probably any chickens, but the egg production chickens don't seem to have that risk, from rapid growth or their size. But these meat birds grow so rapidly, and if they get off balance when they're laying down and get flipped over on their back, they can't get turned back over, and a bird on its back basically can't breathe. So that's mortal. That's mortal to a bird. So we watch, we just have to watch for it, and we're not in here 24 hours a day, so sometimes it happens, we lose a bird that way. And then there was, the only other thing I was looking for was to say, so that's one risk, we're looking at and always evaluating for, how do they look like they're, like bedding and footing is causing a problem where they have a higher likelihood of a rollover mortality. And the other thing and I found it. The other thing we're watching is uniformity of growth. How's the flock keeping up? Okay, so you see the bird on the left? Well, now the bird closest to us. It's the smallest one in the flock now. So and then you can see the one laying there on its side. That's what I was talking about. Like, if that bird just leans back too far and rolls over on its back. But so that one, now it's up walking. I'll try to follow it, but it is the smallest bird in the flock. And we watch for that because, let me try to get over there. We watch for that because those birds can get smashed by the other birds when they're very small like that. This bird is definitely smaller than the other birds. Oh, thank you. In the flock. So, and now we're going to have my shadow because I'm back here on this side of it. So they're all walking away from me. So we won't get a good look at that. But anyway, uniformity of growth is something we watch. And so all throughout raising them, you know, it's usually pretty noticeable if we have a runt. And so we've lost 3 from this flock. And that was the case with those 3. They were runts. At those points in production, they were ones that had not kept up growth-wise. They didn't have the uniformity of growth with the norm in the flock at large. And so typically what will happen if we're in the situation with temperatures where we're using heat lamps is those birds that are little will get like right under the heat lamp, and then the other birds will kind of form around them. And if that little bird gets too warm and wants out of the clump of birds, it can't. Hey, Tanner, don't, because that's stressing the birds out. Okay, we can't do that. We can't do that. We're going to have to work on that. But anyway, that little bird will get under that clump of birds, and if it gets too hot and wants out, it won't be able to get out. Well, it'll end up smashed. So, you know, that's essentially, that's what's happened to the 3 that we've lost. So, I guess what you can do to troubleshoot that, if you have a way to take that, if you notice a runt, you can remove them from the flock and raise them separately, and that eliminates that risk for them with other members of the flock kind of smashing them. I was seeing if I could find the small one again, but I don't see it. But anyway, we know that the one I showed you that's small right now, we know that that one is eating and drinking. It can reach the feeders, it can reach the waters. That's not an issue. It's moving around well. It has a great presence, you know, as far as in terms of does it look healthy, generally healthy. And they say meat birds don't perch or roost, but they most certainly will if they have something to do that on that they can reach. And so that's another reason that these baby tray feeders can become a little bit of a problem to use, because they get up there, they can tip them over. So anyway, but yeah, these birds are doing good. Day 17 started with 126. Hey, started with 126. We have 123. They are in their 6th bag of feed. So they finished. Oh, and this is a good, if you stayed till the end, see how they're gathered up around that eating. So they're ready for big feeders. We just need to make sure we get the height right. And we're ready as managers to use the big feeders, because that's what I was just kind of mentioning. They've finished eating 250 pounds of feed as a flock in 17 days. So we're like to the point where we're feeding out of 50-pound bags, and they're going through a 50-pound bag, you know, in 2 days or so. And so, you know, we will get to the point where here soon, we will get to the point where this flock can handle 50 pounds a day, no problem. And when we get to that point, then we kind of ration them. There's the little one. Then we're going to be kind of rationing them. We're only going to give them 50 pounds a day, even if they would eat more. And then that's going to put us at our target of the flock using 1,000 pounds of feed over production. So, but this bird gets around well. Feathers look healthy. The manure has looked healthy. But you can see it's a small one. It's a small one. So we'll have to just keep an eye on that one. Yeah. Get down off of there. There you go. But that's pretty cool. I think that's always a cool visual how they circle up at feeders and waters like that. Obviously, it's just because that's where the food is. But anyway, hey y'all, please subscribe to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry on YouTube. We are producing real good chicken grown in the USA.